So, welcome to the podcast, Mr. Derek Doyle from the National Piping Centre. How are you, Derek?
I'm very well. Yourself?
The best, man. Indeed. Now, there's a
Great,
good
great.
reason we have you on the podcast this week. For those of you who are savvy enough, of course, might remember you from being on the podcast around this time last year. But you're here for a different reason this time. Do you want to tell us what you guys at the Piping Centre have been up to?
Of course, when we spoke last year, I suppose we were just kind of giving you some updates on some changes that happened round about the kind of time of the early stages of the dreaded virus.
Yeah.
So what we've done in the meantime is we've now been given approval from the Scottish Qualifications Authority, SQA, to augment our HNC, or Higher National Certificate, to a Higher National Diploma. So it's now a 2-year programme for full-time students, a 2-year full-time programme. Still available part-time as well, of course, but it means it's a higher level of qualification, increased level, so it has a bit more weight, I suppose. So yes, we were absolutely delighted to be given approval to run to HND.
That sounds fantastic. So it's not at the same level of the original course that you guys launched last year. This is something different. So whenever folks are kind of applying for it, then, is this like a higher kind of qualification
Well,
than
yeah,
what they would expect before?
we've been running the Higher National Certificate since January 2016.
Yeah.
So really from now, we're running the Higher National Diploma. So what that means is that people generally will sign up for a 2-year course, but circumstances can change, for all sorts of reasons. So it's still possible to leave at the end of year 1 or to finish with a Higher National Certificate. But we anticipate that the HND will be more attractive because people then know, well, I'm committing for 2 years of study.
Yeah.
And it just means that they've got much more, yes, just a wee bit more kind of stability for a couple of years, as opposed to, well, I'll do this for a year, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do after that. So we're able to give them just that little bit more stability, a bit more security, that they know what they're going to be doing for 2 years. So so we think there's some really interesting subjects that are on the second year as well. So we think it's going to work out well.
Well, that leads me to my next question, and Derek, what is the content of the course? What could people expect to study then as part of this?
Well, the HNC really hasn't changed enormously. There's 1 or 2 additional subjects that we put into that. But in the first year, in fact, across both years, there's instrumental instruction. So what we've been doing there, differently to most other colleges, kind of mainstream colleges that run HNDs in music, our students will get, in fact, in first year, they'll get 2 1-hour lessons every week. Now, that's unheard of in mainstream colleges. I don't even know if very many of the conservatoires and the music universities will be able to kind of sustain that. But they get 2 hours a week from us. And if for a student to come to the piping centre to do their HND, in year 1 they'll have an hour lesson of pibroch and an hour lesson on light music. Then in second year, what will happen is it will reduce to 1 lesson in their first study, because by that time they're pretty good and they're pretty motivated, and we've introduced a second study instrument. So that's another interesting thing where students will have an opportunity to either improve on a second instrument if they already play another instrument, or to learn one, in fact, if they don't have another instrument. The obvious one, the one that we're anticipating greatest demand for, will be whistle, because of the commonality between whistle and piping. But we hope to be able to accommodate, a range of instruments and make it really, to fine tune it to what the student's looking for. Year 1, they also do some composition. We thought that was an interesting thing and a valuable thing for pipers to learn, for student pipers to learn. But then in year 2, what we've done is we're kind of developing some of those compositional skills and getting them to apply some of that learning into improvisation. Now, improvisation is not a typical thing for pipers to learn,
No, I was going to
but
say, yeah.
but it's a very useful tool for them to learn. So we'll
Yeah.
be looking at kind of, I suppose, kind of basic. It won't end up being kind of free-form jazz, multimodal, kind of going away off to a world of your own and then coming back at,
Yeah.
at whatever point suits you. It'll be kind of very kind of simple ideas. So maybe looking at some of the very, very earliest forms of improvisation in general. So there's 4 notes in that bar. So we'll play those same 4 notes in the second bar, but in a different order. Or so it'll be that kind of thing. Or there's a phrase. Let's say can we reverse the phrase? Or looking at kind of early, kind of very, very simple forms of improvisation. But what we think that'll achieve for the students is thinking about their music in a different way, and then that possibly helping them when they move back to composition again. So we're trying to get the whole thing to kind of fit together. So lots of exciting things going on in there, I think.
Definitely. For any bagpiper out there that kind of wants to take their playing to the next level, this could be something really special for them. Because what I'm hearing here is not only concentrating on the dots on the page, which is very important, we all know that, but also kind of reaching beyond that, and kind of, like you say, bringing in elements of improvisation and all that kind of stuff. Very exciting stuff. Yeah.
It is.
Also the opportunity to learn another instrument doesn't normally happen for bagpipers. It's always chanter and bagpipes, and that's it. But now they're getting the opportunity to do something else. Very exciting, Derek. So can I ask then, once you have the qualification under your belt, you've done your 2 years, you've got your qualification, where can you go with this afterwards?
Well, I suppose there are two elements to this. What the whole purpose of a higher national diploma, HNDs are really they're described as vocational awards. Right. So the idea or the thinking behind any HND, not just HNDs in music or anything else, absolutely any HND, the kind of purpose of those, the philosophy of those is that you go on and you take those skills and you take the knowledge and experience into the workplace. So that's what we're trying to do. Is we're trying at the National Piping Centre to give HND students an opportunity to vastly improve on their bagpiping, but to give them the skills and knowledge they need to apply that to the world, I suppose the profession of bagpiping. Yes. So it's for people who maybe have always thought, I would like to improve upon my piping, but I don't know how to do it. And yes, I still go to my lessons, but that only improves my piping. I need to understand, what do I do with my tax returns? How do I keep, how do I engage with bookkeeping? How do I network? What's all this stuff about copyright and contracts? I haven't a clue what those things mean. So it gives them all of those underpinning skills, essentially in the same way that, that I suppose, a plumber's not just a plumber, or an electrician's not just an electrician. They're running a business as a tradesperson. So what we're trying to do is make things clear for bagpipers that if they're a bagpiper, they're not just a bagpiper. They're in the business of bagpiping. So it kind of gives them that very, very rounded understanding of how do you find work and how do you pitch for work as a bagpiper. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, which we're also really excited about, is that one of the universities in Scotland, the University of the Highlands and Islands, they've been running a programme now for 10 years called a BA in Applied Music. Oh. And we have got an agreement with them now where they will give consideration to our HND students for a place to move straight into year 3 of their degree programme.
Wow.
Yeah. So it means it's not adding any time. So what we find very often is, and not just at the piping centre, but learners in general, when they can find that themselves suddenly, windows and doors are opening all over the place into worlds that they didn't know existed. And so what quite often happens is they get the learning bug. They really enjoy the learning. And so what we're able to do now is we're able to offer them that opportunity where they can take their piping to, into a degree programme.
Yeah.
And the other brilliant thing about the UHI, the University of Highlands and Islands degree programme, is it can be done in a distance learning mode. So you don't need to go to Perth or wherever else it might be.
Yeah.
You can actually do it from wherever you are.
Right.
And it's, so we're excited about that. And actually the whole portfolio of what we're able to offer at the Piping Centre now, from the National Progression Awards, the Professional Development Awards, or, access to the BMUS in traditional music at Royal Scottish Conservatoire, and then our own HNC, HND, and then another route again, so we're the opportunities for bagpipers to study as far as they want to study, but to study in a way that suits them. There's never been more opportunities, I would say, for pipers.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Derek, it seems to be the choice is kind of overwhelming as well, if you know what I mean. You look at the website and there's just so much on offer as far as an educational standpoint. So I guess I know you guys are completely open to communication. So if we are asking folks to visit the website, just ask questions.
Absolutely,
there's contact forms.
Yes.
Because I know myself, I was looking at the website and that, ahead of our chat today, and I was thinking, there's just so much here. Like, where do you begin? So maybe that's something that
I think the key thing for us is that we're not driven just to bring people in for the sake of bringing people in.
Yeah.
So the conversation with any of the staff is really important, and we will listen to what the aspiring student, or what are they hoping to get from not just a specific course, but what do they hope to get from their learning.
Yes.
And having that conversation with us will help them explain what the different opportunities are, because not every programme is suitable for every student. So we do take that part of it very, very seriously, even to the point where we might suggest to people. In fact, there's one lad who was, dead set on doing the HND, but when we had a conversation with him, we actually realised that probably the best course for him is not the HND at all. And so what he decided to do was take a bit of time, improve on certain aspects of his piping, and he's now applied to do the BMUS at the Royal Scottish Conservatoire. So it's not just about, we're not trying to kind of, to use that kind of cliche term, it's not really about kind of getting bums on seats. It's not about getting people through the door.
No.
It's making sure that the opportunities are there, that we can steer interested learners towards the right opportunity, the right road for them.
Yeah.
So that's the key thing. So 100% get in touch with us if you're not sure, or if you think you're sure but you just want to confirm. That's the important thing for us.
Absolutely, Derek. And I would encourage anyone listening right now, or even watching this video, to definitely visit the website and look at the contact form and get in contact with you. Because reading all the information online, sometimes you can get blinded with the science. And if you have that conversation, it'll, certainly narrow down your choice.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Derek, I have to say, huge thank you for chatting to us here in the podcast. It's very exciting times to be involved in education and piping and everything. And what you guys are doing there at the NPC is just fantastic. So keep up the great work, Derek. Thank you.
Will do. Great.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.